Go ahead. Nothing left to ask you.
Seriously. What can you ask? It's going to be the same as last year.
We thought you were retiring.
I did too. When they offered another year, I sprained my finger signing the thing before they changed their mind. So, happy to be back for another year. It's, I'm on borrowed time. I'm well aware, so I'll take it. I'm very happy.
Tuukka had let that slip before the season. He said, this is Shawn's last year. I mean, had you kind of told everyone that?
Well, I mean, I'm a realist. I know that I was turning 39 a couple weeks ago, and the trend of late has been less and less enforcers, and I didn't know where my value was going to be, and I was very comfortable if last year was going to be my last year, but obviously ownership down there and management thinks that having me around is worth their while, so very appreciative of that. And, I've always said that I'd play until they rip the skates off me, so it looks like that's going to be one more year.
You still did the retirement golf trip in Ireland?
I did. It was already booked, but I canceled. I was going to do a week in Scotland after that, and I canceled that. So, we had 9 days over there with 5 newfies, a couple guys from Toronto. It was a good time, to say the least. Probably took years off my life, but it was a good time.
How much you looking forward to this season? Maybe even more, just given some of the changes that the Panthers have made. A lot of improvements.
Yeah, I mean, on paper we look great. So, that and $1.50 will get you a Starbucks. Though we still have to perform. So, but you can tell they're committed to trying to win and making steps on last year. I thought, to be completely honest, I thought the hockey gods weren't with us a little bit in the playoffs last year. I thought we dominated the majority of that series and we deserved to win it. We didn't, but I'm glad that they had confidence in the group and tried to improve on it so we can hopefully make another step forward next year.
I know you're obviously valued in the room, and you've talked about how you're not interested in coaching or anything, but have you given any thought to being in development or anything in hockey operations?
Probably more on the business side of things down there is where it's looking right now. Obviously, as we know, things change year to year. This would have been a different conversation last year. So, but as of right now, I think probably leaning more towards the business side of hockey. Once the season's over, I'll probably move into that role in Florida.
Yeah. Are you and the owner kind of like friends? Do you guys?
Yeah, we spoon.
It's just a little different situation than some other places.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's they're very involved. They're around. They're very visible. They take a lot of pride in what they're doing, and that's just how Mr. Viola and Mr. Sifu are. So it's not just me. I mean, they're in the room all the time.
Yeah.
They're around. It's different, but that's how he is with all his businesses, from what I'm told. I mean, I think Virtue only has 100 employees, and they do a lot of business, and he knows everybody by name, and he's on top of everything. So it's different, but I love it. I mean, when you can have face-to-face with people, it's never a bad thing as far as I'm concerned.
You'd been developing your chops media-wise. What makes you lean more towards business now?
I think the opportunity, the upside on the other side. I mean, media, I did it a lot, and I thought that's exactly where I was going to end up going. But if the opportunity is still there to get into learning something new in the business side of sports, I just see a ton of upside to that for longer in life.
Plus a lowly media gig, that'll be around forever, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Again, if you can do it forever, I guess anybody can, right?
You've talked about Boston being your home and everything. Is this changing anything with the opportunity in Florida that's kind of blossoming?
Yeah, I mean, if this comes to fruition, and you know how it is, the real world is a couple of weeks vacations a year, and you're in the office from 8:30 till 6:30. So if that's the way it goes, then I'll probably have to reevaluate things for the next few years. But cross that bridge when we come to it. But if that's what happens, then I'm stuck in Florida. It's the worst places to be stuck, I'll tell you.
What does it mean to you to come back here every summer and get the support that you do for this tournament?
I mean, it's pretty crazy. I thought when I first went to Florida, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I knew Tuukka was always going to show up, but I didn't know who else would be out here as far as sponsors and stuff. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I keep, unfortunately, it's a good thing, but you have to turn people away, which is, I did not expect that. So I'm glad people don't hate me. It's nice of them to show up and spend some money on a good cause. And hopefully it can continue. And we plan on it continuing. That's one thing. Even if I am in Florida in the off season, we plan on keeping this around and hopefully having success with it.
If you cross over into the business side with Florida, I mean, do you still plan on keeping your place here and keeping ties here and doing all this?
Yes. I mean, we've talked about it. I don't see me selling the place in Charlestown anytime soon. obviously Millsy signed a huge deal, so he's probably not renting anymore. He probably bought a mansion on the water somewhere. But if we can keep it, find somebody to rent it out, and we definitely don't want to get rid of it. I miss it here. When I come back, it's nostalgic. Every time I walk into my condo, I'm like, God, I miss it here. So very spoiled to be able to have two places, and hopefully we'll continue to keep them.
Since you got into the game's changed so many. There's been so many progressions to it, and here you are heading into another
20
year.
years straight, I've been the worst player on every team I've played on. I'm still doing it. I know.
Why do you think the longevity's been there for you when maybe for other players?
I mean, I've been lucky health-wise. Probably my injuries have been maintainable for the most part. I've been able to get through them. Nothing's kept me out of the lineup for a huge amount of time, or has been career-ending. And I like to think I work hard. Try and pride myself on working harder than anybody that I'm competing with. I don't know. It's probably the two main things. I mean, obviously, guys like me in the room, from what I'm told, unless they're lying to me. Ownership is taking stock and meeting leadership around the room for the young guys that they're grooming that are going to be unbelievable hockey players for the next however many years, and they feel like having some character guys around helps that, and they put stock in that, and they're keeping some guys around just for that. I'm one of those guys.
What do you think has been the biggest change that you've seen in the game itself since you started?
Oof. Well, I mean, there's a lot less fighting, right? I mean, it's my first 2 years in the minors, I was fighting 36 times a year, and now I'm fighting 6 times a year. It's a lot easier on the hands. Game's a lot faster. There's no more one-dimensional players for the most part. They're all but gone. No more stage fights. I'm okay with that too. I was never really a fan of that. I hated that I had to do it. But the game's getting faster. Guys are everybody. I remember skating with the Generals during the lockout and thinking that all 20 kids out there were the exact same player for the most part. You look around and everyone's toe dragging each other, and everyone's kind of been modeled the same way since they're 12, 13, 14 years old, and that was a little different. We had a lot of role players growing up, players, transitioning into a different role here and there, and now it seems like everybody's, even the fourth line guys are like first line guys now, so that's probably been the biggest change I've seen in the last few years.
With the rule changes in the A that are going to get instituted this year, I mean, is that an even bigger
What are
sign? Like suspended after you fight a certain amount of times?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, they're doing like the
heavy
junior
penalties.
thing, like 10 fights, limited.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like even more of a kind of a death knell for fighting, or it's going to weed it out of that league too.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of it's insurance stuff. It probably saves owners a ton of money, not having to worry about it. I'm sure they get a better rate. It's part of it. The way the game's going is part of it. It started with the visors 5-6 years ago, whenever that was. I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't think, I know I never would have made it unless I was able to, cut my teeth in the minors doing it 30 times a year. It sucked, but it's the reason I'm here now. So it's unfortunate that there might be some kids that are pretty tough kids, and that might have been their foot in the door and then prove themselves otherwise. They won't get that opportunity anymore, probably. So that, on a personal level, that probably sucks, but you know what? They're trying to make the game safer. It's the way they feel it's going to be safer, so we'll wait and see.
Who's the best golfer out here today besides Keegan?
Well, actually, I think if you go by the rankings, it's probably Johnny Curran.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was rubbing it into Keegan last night, saying, good job on the tournament last week. I'm glad I'll be seeing you at the Barclays. So, Johnny Curran probably is the best. Brendan Steele's up there too. Keegan kind of sucks right now, actually. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of those guys hit a ball. It's pretty impressive. So, try and get some video of Keegan or Steele hitting the ball. Johnny doesn't hit the ball too far, but he's Johnny the Wedge, they call him. He's a master around the green. So, but if you can find Keegan hitting the ball somewhere, it's pretty impressive to see. And then me, obviously.